Hey guys, it's Lonely Fanboy 48 here, and I'm gonna bring you another rant. This rant is about the WWE draft. Before I begin this rant, I just want you guys to know that I love the WWE. It's one of my favorite hobbies of all time. It has great wrestling, decent 4 big pay-per-views as in WrestleMania, and it has one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. I haven't watched one of those shows lately, Raw on SmackDown. I stopped watching them since November of 2015, which is almost a year ago. I couldn't keep track on what they're doing right now. I did some research on what they're doing, and I am only watching the pay-per-views because I'm still paying for the network. But anyway, I just want you to know that I love the WWE, and I just want to put my thoughts on that it's still a decent product. Even if people may hate it, it's never going away. What I really want to talk about is that the draft they're doing right now, because I really didn't like this idea. Not for this draft, but also the draft from 2002. Why? Well, I'll explain. First, I want to point out that I can understand why this draft existed. Because WWF, they were called WWF back then, bought WCW and ECW and all their talent in 2001. The following year after WrestleMania 18, WWE decides to have Raw and SmackDown have a separate brand with separate wrestlers. Now I will admit that it's a good idea that WWE made 2 brands so that more talent can have more screen time. The problem is that they execute poorly. I know you don't see some of these problems in the old draft, but you probably will. I know it's kind of hard to see the problems with the old draft since the current draft has many problems than it already has, but you will understand that the old draft could have several problems. First, I'm gonna start with Raw. I will admit that it had great ratings and the talent is really good, and the same can be said for SmackDown. The talent is really young, but that's the whole point of it. They want to have young talent so they can get to the main roster, as in Raw, since Raw is the main flagship show, to prove that they can make a name of themselves. I will admit that the champions that they gave to Raw and SmackDown are really smart decisions. Having World Championships, the WWE and World Heavyweight Champion, on separate brands is a good idea, and so is Tag Team Champions and Minor Champions. The only difference is that SmackDown has the Cruiserweight Champion and Raw has the Women's Champion back then. I'll talk more about that when I get to the Divas Champion. But it does have some problems that you pretty much miss or not understand, like the pay-per-views. After Judgment Day 2003, WWE made Raw and SmackDown have those separate pay-per-views. And the problem is that some of the pay-per-views were really not okay. They were pretty weak and pretty disappointing. I'm not sure if this qualifies as a problem considering the fact that this was during the Ruthless Aggression era, which was still TV-14 back then. It's just that, but the pay-per-views that they executed were done poorly. I mean, there were great pay-per-views like Vengeance 2005, No Way Out 2006, but I'll explain more about that later. You see, they did pay-per-views like, when most of the matches were considered short, and most of the matches that they have, they don't put more focus on the division that much. They put more focus on the main event and nothing more. For example, Judgment Day 2004. Everything except the fire match were done pretty poor. I mean, the first match, okay. The second match, really poorly executed. The fact that there was no women's championship in the SmackDown brand back then. And the rest of the matches were pretty poor and really poorly executed. The only match that was actually worth watching is the main event. And that'll be the match between JBL and Eddie Guerrero. Not because of the brutal assault from the steel chair to Eddie Guerrero that JBL did to Eddie Guerrero, but the fact that this is the only match that is actually worth watching in that pay-per-view. And this is not the only pay-per-view that has this. Several other pay-per-views have had these problems. Taboo Tuesday, 2004 and 5, and Cyber Sunday, etc. I know those pay-per-views have different reasons why they suck, but those are the main reasons why those pay-per-views were done poorly, because they only mainly focus on the main event and nothing more. It's just really sad. It's kind of hard to understand if if you're really a big fan when it comes to TV14, then you should really look deep into it instead of just liking it because it's TV14. Let's talk about the Cruiserweight division. I like the Cruiserweight division. It's entertaining, fun, and really exciting to watch. However, WWE has made this division completely dropped when the years go by, especially in 2007, when they decide to take the belt to Hornswoggle. And yes, I agree with you fans that it was a terrible decision. And then the championship just vacated because Hornswoggle has the championship. It's lucky that they have it back, but I'll talk about that later. If you want to know why I have a problem with this, is that they had talents like, they have WCW talents like Nenzio and many others. It's just that they don't use them really good. They only put more focus on their own original stars. I really don't like this idea that WWE has made, because they didn't put more focus on the other stars that they brought, because they bought WCW, and put more focuses on their own stars. At least they put more focus on The Big Show, Rey Mysterio, but that's pretty much all I can think of. But anyway, I should talk about when they revive ECW. I'm just gonna point this out that I'm not a fan of ECW. I don't hate it, and I know that it started the hardcore division. I just couldn't get into it for several reasons. One, I know this is kind of cruel, but I don't like ECW's talent. Well, except for Rob Van Dam, he's pretty good. But for everyone else, I know that they have a history that some of the wrestlers were not intentionally wrestlers, but it still doesn't excuse itself for me. But anyway, I don't hate it, and there are a lot of things that I want to talk about it, but I'm only gonna talk about the brand itself that WWE revived ever since 2006, and then it came to an end in 2010. The main problem that having ECW as a brand is because they didn't have all the ECW talent for the brand itself. They only had the full-blooded Italians, Tommy Dreamer, Sandman, Sabu, and Rob Van Dam. That's it. That's literally all they can do. And the problem is that unlike SmackDown and Raw, when they have 2 hours, ECW is only 1 hour. Why is this a problem? I'll explain soon. And secondly, those episodes were really not that good. Considering the fact that most of the shows have SmackDown and Raw superstars, that just can't save this brand by itself. The fact that their roster is pretty weak and pretty poor, unlike Raw and SmackDown is kind of a big problem. I should talk about December to December. Yes, I'll admit that ECW December to December is one of the worst pay-per-views of all time because of so many reasons. And I'll explain why. There's only 2 matches scheduled for this. And you want to know one of the biggest reasons why this is terrible? 4 words. There's 4 impromptu matches. And the problem is and especially that the fact that ECW had a poor roster that didn't have a lot of ECW originals, and then they just put 4 matches in there with no development, with people who has no chemistry with each other. And besides, if I were to book December to December, I would have to try my best to announce the pay-per-view in early September and book all the matches as quickly as possible. That's another reason why I didn't like that ECW was a 1-hour show. It just didn't have a lot of time to get so many people to get into this storyline thing. That's why I didn't like this whole idea to have a third brand with only 1 hour. And that's not one of the main reasons why this pay-per-view was disappointed, and why this pay-per-view was such a bomb. One of the main problems is the main event. Sabu got attacked, even though that is completely impossible since he got attacked so many times in ECW that he can completely compete no matter what. They still decided to have Hardcore to be in this match. Where do I even begin with this? I know I don't watch ECW, but I did hear the history behind it. I just don't understand why they have Sabu completely take out of this match. I mean, this match wasn't good, but it would have been better if Sabu was part of this. And secondly, Paul Heyman wants CM Punk to win because he wants to have CM Punk the rising star of ECW. However, Vince McMahon wants his assistant to have Bobby Lashley win. That's just really disappointing. The fact that Paul Heyman really wanted CM Punk to win this match so badly is really sad that Bobby Lashley decides to win. As for the Extreme, well, this is the only match that is extreme. There's really not much extreme in it. The weapons are useless, like the table was only used so Bobby Lashley can escape the pod, and most of the weapons were not used that much. This is the only pay-per-view this is the only Extreme Elimination Chamber that is really not special. That is really not that special at all, since they don't use these weapons that much. and what makes this pay-per-view kind of disappointing is that the fan reaction. People were chanting TNA, this match sucks, and this is bull. You know what? I just don't swear. I'm sorry, I just don't swear. This is why this is considered one of the worst pay-per-views of all time. And this, in my opinion, is when WWE decide to have all brands come together in every single pay-per-view. I'm not sure if you understand this, but this pay-per-view, ECW can't handle pay-per-view by itself, so they decide to have all the brands have every single pay-per-view, to be in part of every single pay-per-view after WrestleMania 23. And if you want to know what happened to Paul Heyman after December to this memo, he quit it because he didn't like the decision. Just like CM Punk did after the Royal Rumble 2014. I can understand why people hate WWE because of decisions like this. And I really feel bad that Paul Heyman did. Seriously, if I book this match, I'll have CM Punk to win. I want more respect to ECW. Even though CM Punk wasn't ECW original, he is still a good wrestler in ECW.